by being a racing driver means you are racing with other people. And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver. I race designed to win.
It's time for Negative Camber.
Down the inside, Hamilton sees it coming. It's a late lunge by Verstappen, who takes the lead of the race.
If it's motorsport you want, then this is the place to be. All of the latest results, analysis and interviews.
And a great start for car number 11. D'Alberto's got away beautifully at the start of the great race.
Right now on Radio Italia Uno 87.6. And now it's time to introduce your hosts, Jamie Lemure and Leigh Harrison.
And Mark Aiston. Hello everyone, welcome along to the Southern Go Kart Club at Bolivar. Jamie and Leigh are here, and you're probably wondering why I am hosting, and my name is Mark Aiston and these guys aren't. Well, I can tell you the reason that you two aren't hosting, as I understand it, is you're both babies, because you've both been racing today and you're a little bit on the tired side. Leigh, welcome.
Thank you, Mark, and not to throw in a bit of sickness as well. So I nearly threw in the towel this morning and didn't get out of bed. So yeah, it's been fun.
Oh, I feel awful now.
No, you don't.
I don't either. Don't worry.
After joking, you hurt your hand, Jamie.
No, I suffered from cramps in the first heat, so my forearms seized and got my fingers cramped around the steering wheel like that, and I just couldn't steer the kart. So
throwing gang signs.
Yeah, it felt like it. It's Steve didn't know. Steve Nicholson, one of the officials that on pin entry, didn't know what was going on. He was pretty petrified because it was not a pretty sight. But yeah, don't know whether it's definitely a kart fitness thing because I haven't raced much. But certainly, we'll get ourselves ready tomorrow and hydrate and put extra salt in and do all the other bits and pieces to get ourselves right.
So the reason we're doing this, and we're just doing this for half an hour, and then you guys are obviously taking over Negative Camber, obviously hosting a show that you've been doing now for over 12 months. But the reason we're doing this is because we just wanted to get a bit of a feel because we're out here. And by the way, we're streaming on Facebook, and also if you're listening on Radio Italia Uno, welcome. Get a feel for what you experienced today and obviously promote the sport and that sort of stuff. So I will start with you, Leigh. Just in terms of preparation for an event like this, tell us what happens in the morning. Is it just a regular morning for you, or do you have to psych yourself up?
Look, psyching myself up is probably a long gone thing. Maybe when I was a kid I got myself pumped up, but yeah, it's not any regular morning. It's wake up early, set the alarm. We make sure the night before I'm drinking heaps and heaps of water and not having too much of a late night. Healthy dinner as well, hopefully. Keep those carbs up and get them ready. So pizza last night was pretty good. And then, the day starts nice and early. Get up and we're out the track here by sort of 7 a.m. And ready to get on track, depending on the schedule. But normally ready to get on track about 8 o'clock.
And what time do you race today?
I think I was on track first at 9:15, and then my race after qualifying and stuff was just after lunchtime, like around 1 o'clock or something. Yeah. So we had 2 practice sessions, qualifying, and then 1 race today, and we'll do the same amount of work tomorrow as well.
Jamie, what did you do this morning?
Um,
I was up really early. I needed to get to the track probably sort of between 6:30 and 7. So I was here yesterday setting up the Scuderia Ferrari Club marquees. So I didn't get a chance to practice, but I'd done all the preparation work for the go-kart beforehand. So fresh oil, fresh plugs, clean the filter, got used tyres on for practice and that sort of thing as well. But I struggled to sleep last night. I was just really nervous, I think, and a bit anxious.
Were you really?
Excited.
Yeah,
It's been a little while.
Yeah, excited as well.
But that's interesting. You were actually a little nervous.
Yeah.
And you've been doing this for how long?
Oh, well, I've been doing it now for a few years, but, I mean, it was my first proper kart race back since all my injuries and health scares and all that sort of stuff too. So I really didn't know how the day was going to pan out, like for me physically. I know now, but but it was more, I had a plan and I wanted to sort of stick with it, and that was really just to sort of get through today with the kart in one piece, which we achieved that, and tomorrow is really what counts. But I'm actually pleasantly surprised with the times that I set today, and it's actually really encouraging for tomorrow as well.
So I'll ask both of you this question. Leigh, you first. So you need to really rely on the car, or on the kart. You need to rely on the kart. So you mentioned, Jamie, you do a lot of preparation in terms of making sure that that's all good. But is there still an element of doubt when you sit in that kart for the first time that everything has been done?
Nah, not really. Like, my mechanic's been around the sport for a long time as well, so I put my full trust in him that he's got everything sorted. And yeah, look, these things are going to happen, and if it does break down on me, then that's just one of the parts of the sport, and it's just something you've got to be prepared to deal with at the time.
It's interesting there, Jamie was sort of trying to really surreptitiously tell someone to shut the door, and I don't think Jamie quite understood that we're actually on a 3-shot for the entire show. So if you sort of go like this, if you say you're answering the question and I'm going, it does really look very odd.
That's all right, it's live. We're raw.
we are. We'll take a break shortly, but after the break I want to have the pleasure of speaking to both of you guys. We spoke about the track, and we spoke about your kart, and we did that so that you'll be able to see it on Facebook. But in a general sense, the track, how do you were saying it, I mean, it is one of the best around Australia.
Yeah, it's one of the best in the country, and that's not just a biased opinion. I've been around quite a few tracks in my years in the sport, and I still love Bolivar. It's got a bit of everything. It's got some tight technical sections and then some spots where you have to be super fast and super smooth, so it really challenges the driver and your mechanic to have a really good setup for both those conditions. And yeah, today the track's really fast, so it's been good to set some good lap times.
So what's the difference between today's times, which you told me earlier were fast, and not so fast? I mean, what are we talking?
Yeah, so we're talking probably 0.7 of a second from Saturday last weekend to today.
And can you feel that?
Yeah, you can feel it.
You
just
can?
Kart
Wow.
extra grip, and you know that you've got to do some different things with your setup according to what the track's giving you. But I think the rain and a lot of people testing up to the lead up to the event, and especially yesterday, the day before the event, has helped the track really ramp up.
We'll get some shots of the track up in a second. I'll get Ron to throw that vision up. What about you, Jamie? You like the track?
I love it. Yeah. It's certainly up there as probably one of my top 2 that I've raced on. I haven't had the privilege of racing interstate like Leigh has, but the thing that with Southerns is that it's a combination of, obviously, you've got to set the kart up to have a nice balance between some straight line speed for the main straight, but then also for the technical sections, which is turn 3 all the way through into pit entry. And for heavier people like myself, if you've really got to set the go-kart up for the midsection, because that's where all the time can be gained and lost through turn 3 at Wakefield, and then all the way through the Gumtree complex, and then at Tyson's as well, which is where pit entry is. So, I mean, on a personal front, I've sort of really set the go-kart up really for tomorrow. So I've really sort of set it up to allow for it to not bind up and sort of bog down with all the extra grip. That'll be on there for tomorrow for sure.
I'm not a cameraman. I'm not a great cameraman at all. I shot some vision. We'll just have a look at that now. So this is a bit of stuff I shot. I mean, that was a pretty good shot, but it gets worse from there. So long straight.
You know you can go outside, right?
Yeah. See, I didn't realise that. I mean, that's how new I am to the sport. So we get 200 of these going past. That's all. No, I do actually become a little bit more skilled. So the straight. How does it compare to other tracks around Australia?
It's up there with the longer ones. It's not the longest in the country, but it's a good length. I think I'm going to look out my eye, and Craig will probably laugh at me. It's about 110 metres, I think, from memory, and the total track length is 115. He said, so I was close. The total track length is 773. So it's a good length, and like I said to you earlier, this is the last race meeting to ever be held on this layout that we're seeing here, and I'm very, very sad about that. It's got a bit of nostalgia for me because this is where I grew up and started my racing, and it's the last race meeting.
Yeah, what are we doing down the straight? What sort of speed?
It depends on the class, but I reckon we'd be sort of nudging around about 80, 85 k an hour.
And low to the ground feels fast, doesn't it?
Yeah. The thing with the 4-stroke go-karts, which is the class that we race in, is that their corner speeds are really high. In some cases, they're probably arguably higher than a 2-stroke.
Why is that? What is that? The configuration of the kart, or?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's a low horsepower kart, so you've got to maintain corner speed in order to keep momentum. Whereas with a 2-stroke go-kart, once you hit the power band in a straight line, that's where all the power is. So in many aspects, even in testing, you'll find that a 4-stroke go-kart, if you're behind a 2-stroke, will actually be somewhat quite competitive in terms of speed. But then once you get onto the straight and the two-stroke opens up and it's rev range, then it's a completely different story.
So to people who are perhaps interested in getting involved in the sport, a question to both of you, and again, I know it'll seem fundamental, but the difference between four-stroke and two-stroke, what are the key differences?
A lot of it's going to be cost.
Yeah.
Once you've if you look at the running cost of a four-stroke versus a two-stroke, it can be a lot cheaper. Tyres don't wear out as fast, chains don't wear out as fast, gear, the sprockets don't wear out as fast as a two-stroke because they're just not doing the same RPM. And then, the fundamental difference is speed and I guess fitness level as well to drive. Like to drive a two-stroke with super grippy tyres, you do need to be quite fit to hang on. It's quite a lot of G-force going through the body.
So that's interesting. That's it. Just expand on that. I mean, that fascinates me. A lot of people would think, particularly newcomers, would think, well, I don't really need to be fit. I'm just sitting there. Explain that.
It's a lot of it's the side to side and the movement. Yeah. It's a lot of core strength. It's a lot of neck strength to not have your head hanging off the side of the cart, so you can actually see where you're going still. It's arms because the steering can be quite heavy as well if there's a fair bit of grip. So, it does take. I mean, look, you don't have to be super fit. Like, I'm not at the gym 7 days a week just to train for racing go-karts.
You do look great. Have you been to the gym today?
Not today, no, because I was racing go-karts. But yesterday.
Yeah, good point. Caught me out on that.
So look, a smaller level of fitness is an aerobic fitness as well, I guess, because you're out there and the heart rate gets going.
One thing I noticed, Jamie, in fact I was talking to Leigh, I was talking to your mate. Who was your mate under the tent?
Cody.
Cody, yeah. There's no seatbelts.
Yep.
So that's obviously, that's always been the case?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. I don't quite understand that. I mean, again, to the layman, they would be thinking, well, that sounds a bit unsafe. Just, knock that sort of that sort of rumour off the perch.
I know he's eager to speak, so I'll let Leigh answer that question.
It's actually safer to not be bolted into one of these because if in the unfortunate circumstance that you do roll upside down, your head is the first point of impact.
Right.
So
that's why I'm laughing there.
Yeah, it's the seats are sort of almost designed so that when you do go upside down per chance, you fall out and the go-kart and you are meant to separate. So, because you can imagine it, some of the speeds, and Jamie said we're doing 80, 85 in the four strokes, but some of the two-stroke classes are up around 110 or so. So
someone's just joined us right now without sort of getting the context of that, and they're thinking, I'd like to really, get into go-karts, and they hear you saying, so when you do tip upside down and you fall out of the car.
when's probably not the right if you tip upside down. I've been doing it for 27 years now. Not for me, no. So I know my mate Nick, who's my mechanic, he's been upside down once, and Cody's been upside down once as well.
Sort of weird talking about it, really.
Collarbones. I think Craig's pointing at his collarbone over here. I reckon he's done a collarbone.
Yeah, he doesn't look well.
My old mechanic done a collarbone, but look, I'm just trying to turn people into coming onto the sport, so it's actually really, really safe, and I've been doing it for 27 years and not been drastically injured by it, so I
got to ask you though, Joe, have you had any spills, like major spills?
I haven't.
Then we'll move on to something more positive. Right. But I am fascinated by it.
I haven't turned the cart upside down, so that's either one of two things. I'm either at the back and no one sees me and I clear out of trouble, or I'm too damn good. But
it might be something to do with your really low centre of gravity.
Yeah. But
I did forget to tell you that we are on a wide shot here as well. By the way, you've got great legs.
Thanks, man.
Have you been working out?
Actually, I've got to give a shout out to my triathlete coach, Matty White, who's played a huge role in over the last sort of 6 months in terms of just my general cardiovascular fitness.
Wonderful.
So
that's good.
Which showed on the scales today when I rolled the go-kart in, which was nice. Yeah. But genetics.
I don't want to hurt your feelings, but I think the scales are weighing light today because I was light as well.
Yeah. Thanks, Karen. You didn't get on the scales, and then a voice sort of said, one at a time.
I don't know. It was nice to see anyway.
It's the last time I'll ever host a show.
Exactly.
I know. I've had one bad accident though, which was at Tailem Bend about 3 years ago for the Ultimate Club Driver event, but I kept all four wheels on the ground, thankfully. And
good.
Hopefully not. Don't want to have that again.
Hey, this is the Southern Go Kart Club. At the moment, obviously, it's all quiet because the event today is done and dusted. We're in the, what would you call this, sort of lounge
Club-
area?
this is
the club rooms.
Yeah, club rooms. It's terrific, and obviously when it's busy, it's packed, and great atmosphere because you can oversee the track.
It's actually the driver training centre that we're
Yeah.
in today, which doubles as the canteen as well. And
Yeah.
the people here do a lovely feed, so even if you aren't coming out to race, it's good to come out and spectate and taste some of the delights on offer.
This is Negative Camber. Stick with us. We're live on Facebook and also live on Radio Italia Uno. We'll take a short break and be back shortly.
Adelaide welcomes back Riccardo Antonelli for one night only. Radio Italia Uno, in association with the Adelaide Italian Festival, is proud to present The Voice of Italy 2022, starring Riccardo Antonelli. Friday the 18th of November at the Woodville Town Hall. Relive all of your favourite love songs and ballads depicting life in Italy, including Mamma and Il Tuo Mondo.
Vorrei tornare indietro per un momento, ma il vento non si ferma.
Riccardo Antonelli, in concert and featuring Michaela Capriccioni and Davide Bononi. Book now at trybookings.com to avoid disappointment. Or contact Radio Italia Uno on 8212 3177 or speak with any of the station's committee members. Riccardo Antonelli, in Adelaide for one night only. When you hear the name Bocelli Cafe, you think an Adelaide institution, a family restaurant that's been providing the finest Italian cuisine for almost 2 decades. Coffee of the highest quality and staff that treat you like family. Spacious, COVID-safe indoor dining and a fully heated outdoor area. The kitchen is always prepared for breakfast, lunch and dinner. Parking's a dream. Bocelli Cafe Restaurant, 81 to 83 Hutt Street, Adelaide. Call them 8232 3006 to book, or follow Bocelli on Facebook and Instagram.
La nostra indipendenza è tutto. Brazy Mobility crea la tua indipendenza da più di 30 anni. Brazy Mobility è specializzato nella conversione di veicoli su misura per garantire piena accessibilità. Si assicura che le modifiche fatte alla tua auto incontrino i tuoi bisogni e offrino piena libertà. Brazy Mobility è fiera dei suoi tecnici altamente specializzati che lavorano in un laboratorio all'avanguardia, qui in South Australia. Non ci sono compromessi quando si tratta di soddisfare il cliente. Chiamali al 1800 Brazier oppure visita il loro sito web braziermobility.com.au. Brazier Mobility. Crea la tua indipendenza.
Hi, this is David Heath, and I'm excited to be bringing my program Soundtrack of Your Life to Radio Italia Uno. Join me Friday nights at 7 for interesting guests, some great music and plenty of fun. It's the best way to kick off the weekend. Soundtrack of Your Life, Friday nights from 7 until 9 on Radio Italia Uno, 87.6 FM.
Radio Italia 1, sito internet www.italiauno.com.au. Seguici anche sulla nostra pagina Facebook ed Instagram.
Radio Italia 1.
You're listening to Negative Camber with Jamie and Leigh on Radio Italia Uno, 87.6 FM.
Welcome back to Negative Camber. A really interesting chat for the first quarter of an hour or so, guys. We're going to talk a little bit about the karts now, and we'll throw to some lovely little package that we did, you and I, Jamie, where you sort of showed us the kart and explained a few things. But just first and foremost, where did you both start out in karts like that?
Yeah, so I started when I was 7 in what is the equivalent now of Cadet 9, with a Yamaha J motor going back a little ways. That was in like 1995, I think.
Yeah. What it cost you?
I don't know. I got it as a Christmas present or a birthday
yeah.
present. My dad took me out for a quick burn around in one of his mates' kids' go-karts, and I loved it. And at the time I was racing BMX as well. So for a little while we did both, and then it became, well, we had to choose which one I wanted to do. And I thought, the lifestyle of a Formula One driver was more glamorous than a BMX rider.
Yeah.
So with hopes and aspirations of Formula One, I focused on go-karting until that sort of the reality kicked in.
What about you, Jamie?
I used to race hire karts a lot when I was younger.
Karts?
Hire karts, yeah.
Which is what to the layman?
Basically, they're very similar to four strokes, but what you see at like Kartmania and
cool.
that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Like Leigh, funnily enough, I actually got into cycling. So I used to race at road cycling as an amateur. And that sort of was my circuit-based fix, because we used to race criteriums quite a lot at Regency. But I found Bianca, got married, fell in love, stopped riding the bike, had kids, and then the Scuderia Ferrari Club was formed, and they started their hire kart championship again. And that's pretty much what got me back into the sport with their hire kart series. And then about 5 years ago, I got my first go-kart quite fortuitously at Tindo Solar.
Oh, okay.
So I started there, and about 3 months into it, we'd sort of made an agreement that I wasn't going to get commissions on that sort of stuff because of the sales role. But they had a trailer with 2 go-karts at the back of the factory. And if I'd hit my targets, I was given the trailer with 2 go-karts.
Wow, and you did?
And I did.
Fantastic.
So
were you excited?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. How old were you at the time?
Oh, no, this is only 5 years ago.
So you were about how old?
About 36.
And you were really excited?
Oh, absolutely. I was like a kid at Christmas time. And Leigh actually came past and had a look at them and oversaw them, and and it was only after I brought the trailer home that the Karting Australia brought out the 4-stroke class.
Wow.
So that's kind of where it all began for me.
Well, my knowledge all began just probably an hour ago when I got under. You guys have got the what do you call them? Tents or
marquees.
So you got one, obviously. Yep. Yours is black, yours is red, and I guess all the other teams have just got their own, and they just set up and And under those tents and marquees are the karts. And I had the pleasure a couple of moments ago, or probably an hour ago or so, to have a chat to Jamie about his car.
Hey, Mark.
How'd it go?
Oh, the start of the day was actually pretty good. It just ended up poorly, and kart's fine. It was just me physically.
What happened with your fingers or something?
I cramped in both my forearms, so all my fingers seized like this. So
there's always something, isn't there?
Yeah, I know. I couldn't actually grip the wheel. Yeah. So I just pulled it into the pits for my own safety and everyone else. It wasn't worth racing. So.
Will you show us the car?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll just do this here. Let's have a quick look here. So we'll start here. Okay.
Oh,
well,
so
obviously that's the front of the car.
That's the front of the car. So this is a DRS 97. It's probably a couple of years old.
Wow.
It's what they call a 30mm chassis.
Yep.
Normally used for 2-stroke, but is quite adaptable to 4-stroke racing, which is the class that we run. So, I actually got this cut close to my heart because I actually got it for my 40th birthday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was my 40th birthday present to myself last year.
I see. You gave it to yourself.
I gave it to myself, yeah.
What would you pay for something like this, Jamie, for those who are interested in getting involved?
Brand new, something like this, a roller itself would probably cost somewhere in the vicinity of maybe $5,000 or $6,000.
Wow,
yeah.
Wow, okay.
But I got it second hand, and a lot of the componentry was carried over from my old go-kart, so it was just an empty chassis, and yeah.
You do all the livery?
So we get it designed by Glenn Powell's Design, which is the logo here. He's located in Victoria, I think.
Yep.
And traditionally we ran a more brighter red, very similar to the colour of the chassis.
Yeah.
But this year, this year is my first full year as president. I actually wanted to change the colour scheme and go for a more heritage Ferrari red, so something burgundy in its appearance.
Yep.
But it's completely different to what else you see on track. I think so anyway. So a lot of our other team karts are very, very similar in terms of their delivery, and they very much stand out. So I wanted something that was distinctive, but also quite classy as well. Glenn's done a good job.
Looks great, mate. Thanks. By the way, just how are your fingers?
Oh, they're okay now. Just hopefully pull up all right tomorrow, because tomorrow's really where it counts. Today was just the first heat in qualifying, but I'd set a personal best in qualifying, so considering it's my first proper race back since February, I'm pretty happy with that.
Good luck, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, they look cool. They really they look great, don't they? I've got to stop calling them cars. The karts look
Karts,
great.
yes,
Yeah.
they're good and they're good fun to drive.
Yeah.
And the club, once it reopens, is going to get more heavily into doing come and try days. So for anyone that is wanting to experience it, then everything will be provided, and you just come down and jump in a kart.
And both of you, I presume, all of the drivers are pretty anal in the sense of you keep them clean. You make sure that they're spotless. You check, you treat them almost as if they're family, yeah?
Some do.
Yeah.
Some don't.
More than
Oh,
others.
really?
Some more than others,
Okay,
yeah.
I would have thought everyone would have done that, yeah. Okay.
I try and keep it as clean as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Although sometimes I'm not brave enough to take motors off the actual cart and pressure hose it all that down and all that sort of stuff. Whereas I've seen others out there that look like they've gone through the demolition derby, like my brother's go-kart, for example. So, look, it's like anything. If you look after your go-kart, it looks after you.
Absolutely. Well, we spoke about the track earlier, and Leigh ran me through the track. We sort of didn't stand right up against the track, did we? But it was an interesting chat. This is Leigh talking about the track. It's a little ripper, Leigh.
Thanks, Mark.
What's same price as I was talking to Jamie? He reckons 6 or 7 grand.
Yeah, look, same sort of price. This one is Australian-made chassis, though, made by my long-time engine builder, John Carabas, and his son, Nicholas, who are the best friend of mine. So, we've talked about them on the show before, so probably a little bit cheaper than Jamie's go-kart, but still just as fast and just as good.
Well, we can't get out onto the track, but why don't you talk me through the track?
Yeah, the track's awesome, one of the best in Australia, not just South Australia. Go down the long straight here, about 110 metres long, into a nice tight left-right, and then we follow through with another tight left-hander. Up underneath the tree, it's quite fast, we don't lift off in our karts, and then into another tight corner we call pit corner. Through the middle horseshoe is nice, and we can see we've got someone out on track now, and then into the sweeper, and again we're flat out through the sweeper, no lift off, and that's a lap around Bolivar. It's the last race meeting for this circuit layout. The track shuts on Monday until just after the new year, and they're going to extend it by another sort of 200 odd metres.
What's a quick lap for you in your kart?
We're doing 39.7s today. That's pretty fast for this category. With the weight that we're running at. So this is our personal best today that we've done in this session.
No, very professional, thank you.
No, you're welcome.
Yeah, very professional indeed. Okay, we've got exactly 3 minutes until we take the next break. So what we're going to do now is talk about your performances today. There's a bit of a game here. I love playing games, right? Okay, your performance today in a minute and a half.
Look, I would say that my performance was quite good today. We qualified second and finished second in the first race, so we'll take that. I did make a pass for the lead with 2 laps to go, and then it was a nice clean pass, and unfortunately the cleanliness of my pass was not reciprocated on the last lap. So I ended up finishing second.
I was witness to that too.
Bit of animosity.
Look, you just get on with it, don't you? So we'll come back tomorrow stronger. And
I just heard the tone of your voice change.
Yeah. No, look, we've got some work to do tomorrow, so it should be good.
So what did you do today that you know that you can improve on tomorrow?
Oh, we're going to change some kart setup.
Yeah.
And then I will just maybe be a bit more harsh tomorrow.
Okay. So conversely, what did you do today that you really liked and you thought, wow, that was good?
Yeah, we set a personal best, like I said in that video. So we changed a few things in the setup of the kart. Don't want to give too much away, but we found almost 0.3 of a second just with one small change. That was a good change, and we've gone home tonight, and we will find some more stuff, and hopefully come back another couple of tenths quicker tomorrow, and we'll be good. So
Jamie's got a minute and a half. Let's see if we can get Jamie to talk about his performance today in a minute and a half without mentioning his hands cramping up.
Good luck.
Go for it, Jamie.
I'm actually overall I'm pretty happy. I set the fastest time that I've ever set in my go-kart today.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. So, for me, my biggest issue is going to be race fitness. I mean, guys have been racing quite extensively in my class, and I'm very much an underdog. I've got some high-quality drivers in my group, which I pit myself against. But look, if I can, I still think there's plenty of time left in my kart, and I think, just looking forward to tomorrow, and I hope that I can stand up to it physically.
And just as we come to the break, as you both prepare for tomorrow's event, as you're on the grid, just briefly, what's going through your mind, Leigh?
I'm just trying to focus on clearing my mind of everything else, all the distractions, and focusing on the job at hand. It's pretty tough going into turn one with, sort of 11 or 12 karts right behind you. But yeah, we'll just try and clear the mind and have a couple of deep breaths and get the heart rate under control and out we go.
What about you, Jamie?
Definitely hydration. Up the salt intake and that sort of thing. I know what the kart's capable of now. And the setup that we've gone with mine is really aimed towards tomorrow. My co-driver, because we've got an endurance race later on tomorrow afternoon, so my co-driver went in for a spin and he has the same go-kart as me, Simon, who will come on shortly. And he came back very, very happy with it. So I know that the work that we've done over the last couple of weeks to get up to scratch has definitely borne fruit. So I wanted to take the opportunity to thank Leigh, Andrew Cash, Biscuits,
getting quite emotional.
Cody, there's even Tim Harrell from Techno as well. They've all contributed to helping me get my kart back on track. So so far so good.
Glad it's going well for you. Going to take a break. So we're at the Southern Go Kart Club, ripper of a place. And this is Negative Camber, and we're live on Facebook and also on Radio Italia Uno. We've got two guests coming up. You guys, because we're going to swap some seats. I'm leaving in a second.
About time.
You guys can have your show back. You do it better than I do. Just have a quick look at the two guests, right? Have a look. Here we go. Look. Go, boys. How are you? Yeah. Now the thing is, we've got no idea who they are. I mean, they've just wandered in from the track.
I don't even know if they're from the track, to be honest. They might just be off the street.
We'll be exactly. All right. Good luck when you're here, and make sure you answer the questions well, okay? All right, good on you. We'll take a short break, and we'll be back with Jamie and Leigh after this.
Buonasera Restaurant, a family-operated business that has been welcoming customers for over 50 years. Spoil yourself to the finest Italian cuisine with impeccable service from Larry and the team. Complement your meal with a magnificent wine from their impressive selection. Famous for their boglietti, their handmade pasta with crab and prawns, their tripe, ossobuco, and local calamari. And then there's their specialty, the veal cooked to your liking. Buonasera Restaurant, 295 Glen Osmond Road, Glenunga. Call 8379 5647 to book.
Yo! Ciao, Armando Paradiso from Unique Stone. Delivering quality stone tops to South Australia for over 20 years. Granite, marble, Caesar stone, unique stone, granito, marmo, Caesar stone, unique stone. Thinking stone benchtops to your kitchen, bathroom or furniture? Unique Stone at Jacobson Crescent, Holden Hill. Call us now, 8266-2280. Unique Stone, we won't be beaten. Come on, che stai facendo? Yo! Chiama adesso.
Caffè Bocelli, non solo un ristorante, ma una vera istituzione. Una conduzione familiare che da quasi 20 anni offre il meglio della cucina italiana. Caffè di altissima qualità, una sala da pranzo interna spaziosa e confortevole, uno spazio esterno completamente riscaldato e un servizio accogliente e familiare. Aperti a colazione, pranzo e cena. Venite a gustare un delizioso pasto preparato con cura e passione. Caffè Bocelli, 8183 Hutt Street, Adelaide. Per prenotazioni chiamate l'8232 3006 oppure seguite Caffè Bocelli su Facebook e Instagram.
Hi, I'm Matt McQuinley. Join me each Monday evening from 6 to 7 p.m. for Change the World with Matt McQuinley on Radio Italia Uno. We focus on changing the world for the better by taking personal responsibility, destroying victim philosophy, canceling cancel culture, and by discussing as well as listening to each other on topics like leadership, cultural trends, beliefs, business, history, world events, and more. Change the World with Matt McQuinley on Radio Italia Uno, 87.6 FM.
Vuoi promuovere la tua attività? Vuoi aumentare il tuo volume di affari? Non sai a chi rivolgerti? Chiama Radio Italia 1. Il nostro staff commerciale è a disposizione per ogni informazione o preventivo personalizzato. Chiama all'82123177. Radio Italia 1. E anche tu sarai un numero 1.
Radio Italia 1.
You're listening to Negative Camber with Jamie and Leigh on Radio Italia Uno 87.6 FM.
Welcome back to Negative Camber, the motorsport show, proudly supporting Scuderia Ferrari Club Adelaide. I'm Jamie, and over to my far right is Leigh Harrison, and we're live from the Southern Go Kart Club down at Bolivar. And next to me is one of our special guests. We're here for actually the 4-stroke championship as well as the state championship black plate for the 2-stroke classes through Karting South Australia as well. So guest in the middle between myself and Leigh is a previous guest on the show, Simon Reichelt, arguably probably the favourite for the light 4-stroke class for tomorrow. My co-driver for the Enduro, so I know that we're going to be near certainty for a top 10. But and a good mate of ours as well. So welcome to the show.
Thank you both for having me.
Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, not the first time, and it won't be the last, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm glad you think so highly of me as the favourite. I mean, you want that PR as your co-driver, I suppose, but yeah, I'm here to have a good time. So whatever happens, happens.
Oh, don't worry. Whilst I wanted to chop my arms off in my first heat, I got to see you because we were sharing the track at the same time. So I was suitably impressed.
Yeah, I totally butchered that first heat start, but sorted that out at the end. But it's definitely a grippy track today. Like Leigh mentioned earlier, we're going just as quick as ever. I mean, he reckons he's going quicker. I'm going as quick as ever. So maybe I need to lift my game. But yeah, I drove Jamie's kart, like he said. Looking forward to having a big enduro tomorrow afternoon.
You a lot of people that may not have listened to the early podcasts probably don't know your story. So it's probably a good chance to sort of talk about, your journey over the last sort of 3 to 5 years, and then also, what life's like for you now.
Yeah, I think this story gets shorter and shorter every time. I've told it about 1,000 million, I don't know. But yeah, so 3 years ago, just over 3 years ago, I had a double lung transplant. I suffer from cystic fibrosis. I no longer suffer from cystic fibrosis. Still have it, but I've got fresh lungs and I'm no longer affected. But I couldn't walk and talk at the same time 3 years ago, and luckily I got listed, got the call, got new lungs, and now I can do whatever I want to the capacity that I want, and I suppose to the ability that I'd like to be doing it. So it's nice to be at the front, but life as well. I'm married now. It's completely different to 3 years ago. I don't even know myself really when I think about it sometimes.
Life's done now. Yeah. Life's done.
Look, I don't know what's going on in yours, but mine's all right. Yeah.
But I mean, you were, for those that aren't really familiar with cystic fibrosis, can you kind of expand upon that? And I guess how close were you to, maybe not even being here?
Yeah, I reckon, first of all, it's a degenerative disease. So you basically, it doesn't get better. It just gets worse and worse over time, kind of like cancer and those kind of things, but it's from birth. When I was born, I think the life expectancy was 16. When I got to 16, I was pretty chuffed about that. But then, I got to 30. I'm 35 in December, so looking pretty good for age, and I feel like I'm going to go a long time. But what it does is CF, which is cystic fibrosis, it kills your lungs. It fills them with mucus. It's a problem with the salt in your body, so it doesn't remove mucus. It actually turns the salt into a mucus, and it actually just kills you. It's like I was sick 24/7. I felt horrible. But I got used to that, so I raced with that kind of bad feeling, knowing that was as good as I'd get. But when I think back now, how I feel these days is completely better, like 1,000% better. I suppose there's a lot of good medication out there now for cystic fibrosis people. Unfortunately, I missed the boat on that one and had to get the transplant. I honestly probably wouldn't have lasted not many more months. Yep. I would say only a few more months after, if I didn't get the transplant. But yeah, the difference it's made, the process, the procedure. I was meant to be in Melbourne for 3 months, which is where the operation was. Mm-hmm. I had a rehab schedule, which was meant to be the entire 3 months, but I did very well, and I actually come back to Adelaide after 2 months. Spent my rehab improving, I would almost say, hourly. I went from just walking on my own. I couldn't walk. So the fact that you have such trauma to your body, it you can't walk. You forget how to walk. So I had to actually learn to walk again. Funnily enough, I could ride a bike, BMX back in the day, muscle memory, but I couldn't remember how to walk. So yeah, I got myself up to speed on the treadmill. I started running, had mad shin splints, hadn't run for 10 years. And then I just did laps of Albert Park. I was released out of hospital after two weeks, and then I had a hotel.
Yep.
And yeah, just did laps of Albert Park every day, like lap after lap after lap, walking, and then running, and then yeah, just got more and more. And I couldn't think of a better place to do it, to be honest.
I was just about to say, I think for someone of your background, having to recover at Albert Park would have been the best motivation to get out on the track and cut laps.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have been hard to get out of bed.
Nah, it was all about them lap times.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't care if there was a car parked halfway on the track. I still took the racing line. I still walked the part that's a car park during the week. I just made my way through. If I was running, walking, whatever, and yeah, got myself pretty quick times. Didn't matter if it was raining. I enjoyed what I was doing, and I was actually, I think about going back there all the time just to do some laps. And when the Grand Prix on, we should, but it's a bit harder to do laps with the Grand Prix on. But.
Is it just me, or is it like, I don't know what you guys are like, but when you find that you're walking around places now, you're kind of taking a racing line when it comes to negotiating corners, even in the shops with the trolley and stuff like that?
I've been doing that for decades.
I've damaged my elbows on several corners.
So I'm not the only lunatic there.
No. My trolley, I try and get the unload and the jack in my trolley, and look at that unload, that was sick. Talking to Shay, that's why we get our shopping online now, because Shay's had enough of it.
Yeah.
I vacuum. Hope Mel's watching, because she does know this, but I vacuum, but I actually vacuum the racing line first, and then I'll vacuum the rest. But yeah, the point is I vacuum.
Yeah. Good. Emphasise that housework that you do.
Yeah, definitely. I'm solid.
Yeah. So 51 Roses is a charity?
65.
65, that's right.
So it's
My bad.
Take on, it's based on a young child that couldn't say cystic fibrosis, so they were saying 65 roses.
Yep.
That's how that came about. And yeah, that's what they call the national charity. We do an event. I also race Speedway. We do an event which is called 65 Roses Championship, which is quite a big meeting in the Speedway world for the class I race. And we do our best to raise a bit of money and a bit of awareness and have a bit of fun along the way.
Yeah, awesome. So what do you prefer, Speedway or go-karts?
Speedway is a million times faster than a four-stroke go-kart. But to be honest, this is much more of a level playing field. The Speedway is sort of like the more you spend, the faster you go, and I don't have a budget for the...
So is go-kart racing to a point.
Yeah, but new tyres are cheap. It's compared to Speedway anyway. But yeah, I'm happy to... Yeah, I think the 4SS, the class, if there's a lot of karts out there, it's awesome. Doesn't matter how fast you go. If everyone's out there doing the same speed, it's awesome. In the Speedway, you can have like the worst night or the best night, and you're still 5th or 6th, and you're like, I can't do any better. Just because guys have, engines that are $30,000 more than yours. Yeah.
Talk to us about some of the main cost differences. Like you said, engines is one of them there, but where else do you see people spending money that you wish if you won the 100 million next Thursday in Powerball? Where would you spend your money?
I've only recently decided that I would like to do some form of event in Bathurst. I don't care what it is, so something to do, whether it was a 286, that might be where my money goes. But in terms of what I do at the moment with that money, if I invested it into what I was doing at the moment, I suppose I'd buy a bigger engine for the Speedway. That's all you lack. Like the tyres aren't as important on the Speedway. It's more about just sort of car setup, and you can get the tyres to work on, and just about any tyres that you can groove them and re-groove them. So they'll last, but yeah, the horsepower is the main thing. When it's a lockdown fast track, you've got to be on the pace with horsepower, and I'm probably anywhere from, 5 to 10, maybe even more horsepower down on the fast guys. So I can have the best night ever, and it's just not good enough. But in the car, I literally bought the thing and got in it, and I haven't done anything. I've changed the tyres twice, and I feel like it is a better showcase of what I'm able to do. So and the fact that I can breathe makes it just so much fun. So I see guys getting out the car and they are rooted, but I'm probably just as rooted, but I've been more rooted. So, I appreciate that.
It's a mindset thing.
It is. Everything feels easy now. So,
yeah,
that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Do you find that, and this may sound like a really silly question, but your perspective on life, how different is that now, considering you were literally knocking on death's door?
Even before the transplant, I was very much like gratitude's the word. I appreciate everything. Like I was just happy to be where I was at the time, on the day, at the hour, at the minute, just to still be alive. So now that I can be alive and be, I can use my ability, my lungs, I can use everything just to be a normal human and I suppose do the best I can in something. It's just gratitude. I think like everything. I don't ever look bad on anything. Like there's nothing negative. I find the positive in anything. So pretty, gratitude.
Cool. And before we head off to a break, let's find the positive in our endurance racing tomorrow. I'm very much looking forward to racing with you again, considering we did the 200 lapper at Paraka last week and walk away with second.
I feel like your card is better than mine, so I'm looking forward to driving that for the stint. I got in yours today, and I thought this is all right. I don't really like brakes, but just mid corner feels way better than mine. So I'm looking forward to seeing how fast we can actually go.
You can probably make some changes to yours and get it very similar.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll come over in the morning.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to it. I know we have a bit of a balance. You do your thing. I'll get it somewhere for you, and you do your thing again.
Let's hope I'll do my thing.
You just got to hope he doesn't throw gang signs in the middle of the race.
It's getting that first part out the way. Same with the that first stint at Paraka. You're probably worse than the second stint. So.
Yeah, actually, I forgot to mention we've got to thank a big shout out to Andrew Cash as well, who's going to be our engineer tomorrow, our spanner man. But don't snigger, don't snigger.
Sorry,
Cash is good.
He's good. I think engineer was probably like painting a bright light upon it.
Good mechanic. Good
spanner spinner.
Spanner spinner. But he also played a vital role in getting my go-kart up to speed, but he's also had a bit of an impact on yours as well. So
he spent 5 minutes on it last meeting and made the world of difference.
Got your result. You won.
It did. Yeah, I won. Yeah, it just took away the negative camera and gave me some positive. But I guess that's seeing the positive. But he does some wonders. I don't even understand all the stuff. Like I said, I just get in it. So he made it go good.
Good. Well, mate, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. I have really enjoyed having you in the marquee, supporting the Ferrari Club as well. Can't wait to have you tomorrow, and hopefully we can jag a half-decent result.
Yeah, we'll be right. Have some fun battling Leigh.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, hope they're on at the same time. But anyway, very good. Thank you.
No worries, listening to Negative Camber, and we'll be back after a short break.
Looking for a new coffee machine for your home or workplace? Look no further than Fine Choice Coffee Solutions, your experts in all things coffee. Why not come in for a chat and a special coffee tasting? You'll find us at 264 Gilbert Street in the city. Mention Radio Italia Uno and you will receive a free 250-gram bag of freshly roasted coffee beans. You can also shop online at www.fccoffee.com.au, where you'll find our large range of premium roasted coffee beans, coffee machines, accessories, hot chocolates, teas, and lots more. I'm Danielle from Fine Choice Coffee Solutions, your one-stop shop for all things caffeine.
Quando sei a tavola, hai mai pensato alla freschezza della tua insalata e alla sua bontà? High Fresh è una ditta del Sud Australia, a condizione familiare, orgogliosa di fornire prodotti freschi locali. Prova i nostri prodotti, dalla lattuga all'insalata mista, dalla verza a stir fry. Le puoi trovare in tutti i Romeo Foodland o IGI e dal tuo fruttivendolo di fiducia. La prossima volta che fai la spesa, scegli la freschezza, scegli High Fresh.
O'Brien Electrical Adelaide, your local electrical electrician. Service and responsiveness for locally owned and operated businesses, their priority. 263 Sturt Street in the city, right alongside of Radio Italia Uno. Give them a call and speak with their friendly staff. Their number 1300 051 482.
Hello, I'm Peter Salerno. Please join me on Happy Business Radio every Monday 2 to 3 p.m. on Radio Italia Uno. We have lots of fun with very interesting guests. We talk about how to start, build and increase your business. Happy Business Radio on Radio Italia Uno 87.6 FM.
Ti piace la musica? Hai voglia di metterti in gioco? Entusiasmo e personalità non ti mancano? Radio Italia 1 sta cercando te. Chiama l'82123177 e anche tu avrai la possibilità di entrare a far parte del nostro team. Radio Italia 1, diamo voce alla tua voce.
Radio Italia 1.
You're listening to Negative Camber with Jamie and Leigh on Radio Italia Uno 87.6 FM.
Welcome back to Negative Camber, the motorsport show, proudly supporting Scuderia Ferrari Club Adelaide. I'm Jamie, and alongside me is Craig Denton, a special guest, and Leigh Harrison, our regular co-host, you could say. We're here at the Southern Go Kart Club for the four-stroke state championship and the South Australian Black Plate titles as well. You're probably one of our more prestigious guests, Mr. Denton. It's good to have you on the show at last.
Yeah, thank you. I've been waiting for the invite for a while.
Well, now you got it. So you got 15 minutes.
Now's your time to shine.
Now's your time to shine. It's probably a really ambiguous question, but who is Craig Denton? Give us a bit of a rundown as to your background in motorsport.
Well, I blame my parents, basically.
It's always good stuff.
Don't we all? We used to live in the mid-north of South Australia. We owned a motorbike shop. I was on a motorbike from probably 2 or 3 years old. Started racing mini bikes when I was 6. Had a couple of good success in national championships. Hanging off a sidecar there for a little while. Started off in go-karting in 1981. Did 3 meetings on P-plates between the Barossa Go Kart Club and here. And the track looked remarkably different to what it does today. Went to a day on the dirt up at Morgan Dirt Kart Club. Proceeded to do 10 years of dirt. Come back to Bitumen in 88 for the Nationals here at Bolivar.
Yep.
When they had 620, 600 and...
Why are you looking at me? I was barely born then.
Yeah,
but I think it was in the 600s.
Yeah, sorry, I thought you were the stats man.
No, you were correcting me before.
Yeah, and then been racing Bitumen ever since.
Yep. So TD racing started pretty much back in 81, or was there...
Well, Dad used to run Denton Yamaha, which is up at Farrell Flat in the mid-north between Clare and Borough.
Yep.
And he was always doing engine work in the shed, so we just followed on from that. TD stands for my dad, Trevor Denton, so that's just followed on, and yeah, it's been a business name ever since.
That's actually funny, because I always just assumed it was Team Denton, not Trevor Denton.
It could be lots of things. It was 3 Dentons.
Yeah.
For a while, when 3 of us were
when
racing.
Josh was racing as well.
Yeah. So no, acronym can be whatever you like.
Yep. So some of your, I guess your standing in general motorsport is actually quite significant, being a Motorsport Australia and the like as well. What's kind of driven all of that?
Well, without getting political,
be as political as you want.
I have always had the adage that if you want to be involved, the more you put in, the more you get out.
Yep.
So when I think I was 17 years old, I was the competition secretary for Morgan Dirt Kart Club. Between a gentleman in Gawler called Mick Stott and myself, we wrote the first rule book for AIDCA, Australian Independent Dirt Kart Association. I sat on their panel, their committee for quite a while. And I've always had the adage you put in what you get out. So I've always sat on committees and moved on to Southern Go Kart Club here, being a committee member, then a state delegate, then national delegate. I was national delegate for many, many years, national president, state president. I'm still the COK FIA delegate, so the delegate for karting in Australia to the FIA.
Yep.
And led the introduction of the new board. Now that can be good, it can be bad, but I think the timing was right and it was a good thing. Just the way that some of the clubs are taking it at the moment and not really speaking up about things that they're concerned about.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've done a lot of voluntary work, and I was fortunate enough to receive an award, membership of honour to Motorsport Australia.
Yep.
When you look through some of those names, there's only about 14 to 15 names, but there's names like Brabham and so on in there. So yeah, done a lot of voluntary stuff over the years.
Yep.
And tried to do a bit of racing at the same time.
Was that Motorsport Australia accolade or acknowledgement, I mean, how much did that mean to you, or does it mean to you, considering the honour roll that you've got there?
Look, you don't do these things for the recognition.
you do it. And a lot of that was done, the voluntary stuff is done for my family. I got a son come through, raced, did a lot of junior karting, senior karting. So yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. Yep. With I suppose, where are you seeing the sport in terms of karting here in Australia right now?
The introduction of the new engines. Okay, so that was the biggest change we've had in the last 5 or 15, 20 years. We had to have it.
Mm.
The Yamaha engines that we were running are getting harder and harder to come by. We've all got
such a big discrepancy in them.
Yeah, like the J's. You had a good one and you'd spend a lot of money on a really good one. They've only got an infinite life or a lifespan that you can deal with. And they were getting harder and harder to acquire. Parts are getting harder. And the KT100S engine, it done the sport great. Look, there's nothing against those engines. Single class engines or single engine classes are what built this sport.
Yep.
But the introduction of those engines, we went from a $1,000 engine to a $3,000 engine.
Mm.
But you didn't have to blueprint it. You didn't have to buy another carburetor. You didn't have to buy a special exhaust. You didn't have to buy... But what they did was increase the entry point to the sport, which was where the 4SS has come in.
Yep.
There's been a good market there. It's introductory. It's reasonably affordable. As you said before, the tyres are good. The corner speed's good. Performance is good. It's just from 100 metres down the straight to the end, it's a bit slower. But it's good racing and it's close. So, yeah, look, there's a lot of political stuff in the background going on. They leave that up to the clubs and the state presidents, and if enough people speak up, they'll make change. If they don't come onto their meetings and make change, it'll never happen.
Josh, how's he going, first of all? How did he find his stint at Bathurst with BJR?
He was looking after the Super 2 car.
Okay, so you got it easy.
And then he was going to the main game pits. So, yeah, interesting. It's the second year he's been to Bathurst with Brad Jones Racing.
Yep.
Long as. They've had their one major incident this year. Where was that? At the Bend.
Mm.
And then they've got another one now that they're fixing. So, fortunately, he's not working this weekend. He's on... What do you do on your weekend off? You go down to Oakley, the go-kart track.
The go-karts, yeah.
Yep.
And like you said, motorsport is one of those things that you do it for the love of it, and the long hours are sort of custom with motorsport. It comes with the job.
Yeah, I mean, the expectation is you put in the hours you need to do. If you're at the track and you have to stay there till midnight or later, you do what you need to do.
Yep. Been there on many occasions myself.
Obviously, you play a part in the Australian Karting Championship with the team, and you've got links with Tom Williamson Motorsport. How did that all come about? And I guess where are you seeing the AKC at the moment? Because from an outside perspective, numbers probably have never been higher from an entry point.
There's always this adage that the AKC takes away from club level racing, in that people say it's expensive to do any form of motorsport. The adage that karting's the cheapest, it might be the cheapest, but it's still expensive. You look at the cost and everything else. But getting back to the question on AKC, yeah, it's popular. It's a lot of travel, a lot of time, a lot of commitment. It's growing. It's a good thing. But we've got to not lose sight of the club level and the state level, which is why Karting Australia have tried to introduce rules around number of events you should be doing in your state.
Yep. Club racing, I mean, from in terms of numbers and stories that you hear, where was the shift? Was it that engine change that you speak of in terms of, back in the day you'd have 200, 300 club people on club days and they would almost replicate on a state day? Now it's, you'd probably get maybe lucky if you're 100, 150 in some cases.
The world's changed. We've got busier on weekends. It's easier to go sim racing than to get your investment in the sport. It's easier to stay at home and other commitments, other sports, weekend shopping now. You can go shopping 7 days a week. Things have changed. The participation numbers are still good. Licence numbers have dropped a little bit. I think they were around 7,500. They've dropped, but it's just the way of life at the moment.
Yep.
I know I spoke about Independent Dirt. I was involved with them. They have big numbers. They're still booming.
Yeah. What? So the sim racing's all your fault.
It's not my fault. I've got nothing to do with the creation of sim racing, but
You
I
just
do
promote
both.
it.
So yeah, I think as well, like Craig said, the cost of living just in general has absolutely gone off the rails recently. So disposable income is lacking for a lot of people, and that's that playing a part as well in the numbers. You know, we're quite fortunate to be in the positions that we all are, that we get to go racing and enjoy a hobby, but our hobby is very expensive.
Yeah, but good fun.
Exactly.
You could be doing worse.
Just remind yourself tomorrow after the Enduro that it's good fun.
Yeah.
So let me get to the Enduro, okay?
You were telling me earlier you were quite instrumental in the the lengthening initially of this Southern Go Kart Club, and as we enter what is going to be the last day on this layout that you were instrumental in helping create, how's that sitting with you, and what do you think of the new layout to come?
Firstly, yes, that was one of the things I did for the club a long time ago. The straight used to have a kink in it, and then it turned left after turn one and pulled itself back around. We tried to buy the land next door to extend out there. That didn't happen. So we came up with this design with the realignment of the fence line over here, or for what we used to call Albie's property next door, which had a trotting track on it.
Yep.
I basically project managed that. Then I'm guessing probably 10 years ago, Gary Owen led the resurfacing the track, and now we're going into the next phase, which is the redevelopment and extension of the track. As I've said, because I also sit on the national committee for this as a national safety delegate, and what we said to the club was, don't just do it for the sake of doing it. There has to be a reason why you'd want to extend it. Is it simply to get a greater track density, so you've got more karts on there for the AKC? Bolivar, or Southern Go Kart Club as it's known, is well known around Australia for a great track. The corners. Sure, corner 1 and 2 are a bit obnoxious at times, but the section through the trees, if you get that right, you're quick into Tyson's. If you're quick out of Tyson's, you're quick in the middle corner. So there's 2 or 3 features. Let's not lose those features. Yeah. And I think what we've come up with is not just a design to lengthen it, but it's going to provide some good racing.
It's going to keep some of the character of Bolivar as well. You know, like the first 2 corners, like you said, a little bit obnoxious at times, but we space them out and give everyone a bit more time to sort their stuff out on lap 1. And I think from the design that we've seen, if it all goes well and smoothly, it's going to keep the character of Bolivar, which is probably the biggest fear that I had when they wanted to extend the track, is I just didn't want it to lose the character that we've all grown up racing on.
Well, I mean, the fear is I'm going to miss some people out here, but John Caravis, Colin Moat, Ross Edwards, Keith Bartlett, myself, we all had input into this track from day one. And look, there's been a lot of people put their time into this new redesign. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a good thing for the club.
Absolutely.
Craig, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. We're off to a break. Time's flown when you're having fun. Maybe we'll get you back for a bit more of an extensive chat, maybe towards the end of the year for our final web show, perhaps.
All good, and thank you for your time.
No worries. This is Jamie and Leigh, Negative Camber, with Radio Italia Uno, and we'll be back after a short break.
Adelaide welcomes back Riccardo Antonelli for one night only. Radio Italia Uno, in association with the Adelaide Italian Festival, is proud to present The Voice of Italy 2022, starring Riccardo Antonelli. Friday the 18th of November at the Woodville Town Hall. Relive all of your favourite love songs and ballads depicting life in Italy, including Mamma and Il tuo mondo.
Vorrei tornare indietro per un momento, ma il tempo non si
Riccardo Antonelli in concert and featuring Michaela Capriccioni and Davide Bononi. Book now at trybookings.com to avoid disappointment, or contact Radio Italia Uno on 8212 3177, or speak with any of the station's committee members. Riccardo Antonelli, in Adelaide for one night only. When you hear the name Bocelli Cafe, you think an Adelaide institution, a family restaurant that's been providing the finest Italian cuisine for almost 2 decades. Coffee of the highest quality and staff that treat you like family. Spacious, COVID-safe indoor dining and a fully heated outdoor area. The kitchen is always prepared for breakfast, lunch and dinner. Parking's a dream. Bocelli Cafe Restaurant, 81 to 83 Hutt Street, Adelaide. Call them 8232 3006 to book, or follow Bocelli on Facebook and Instagram.
La nostra indipendenza è tutto. Brazy Mobility crea la tua indipendenza da più di 30 anni. Brazy Mobility è specializzato nella conversione di veicoli su misura per garantire piena accessibilità. Si assicura che le modifiche fatte alla tua auto incontrino i tuoi bisogni e offrino piena libertà. Brazy Mobility è fiera dei suoi tecnici altamente specializzati che lavorano in un laboratorio all'avanguardia, qui in South Australia. Non ci sono compromessi quando si tratta di soddisfare il cliente. Chiamali al 1800 Brazier oppure visita il loro sito web braziermobility.com.au. Brazier Mobility. Crea la tua indipendenza.
Hi, this is David Heath, and I'm excited to be bringing my program Soundtrack of Your Life to Radio Italia Uno. Join me Friday nights at 7 for interesting guests, some great music and plenty of fun. It's the best way to kick off the weekend. Soundtrack of Your Life, Friday nights from 7 until 9 on Radio Italia Uno, 87.6 FM.
Radio Italia 1. Sito internet www.italia1.com.au. Seguici anche sulla nostra pagina Facebook ed Instagram.
Radio Italia 1.
You're listening to Negative Camber with Jamie and Leigh on Radio Italia Uno 87.6 FM.
Welcome back to Negative Camber, the motorsport show, proudly supporting Scuderia Ferrari Club Adelaide. It doesn't feel normal. It feels weird.
Yeah, doing it out of the studio. That's it's odd.
Yeah, in the Southern's club rooms. But I guess now is the more normalised segment of the show, and we now talk Formula One. So, right, Sunday, October 2nd at the Marina Bay Street Circuit was Singapore. I love that track.
It's so good, and under lights, like everything just looks so spectacular.
Yeah, have you ever been there?
No, I can't say that I have. I mean, I've landed in Singapore in transit, but not enough time to get out.
Yeah, I was very fortunate to go in 2010, which is my first year wedding anniversary with B. So we loved Singapore and went there on our honeymoon as a bit of a stopover, and went and decided to go to the race in 2010. Magic, unbelievable. I can't stress. I actually rated more than Albert Park in terms of going there, the atmosphere. Accessibility, cleanliness. The track itself is really cool as well, but it's certainly had some. I mean, when I went there, they still had the old Singapore sling.
Yeah,
so you could hear the cars bottoming
bouncing
out and bouncing around and all that sort of stuff. But you know, the concerts that they had there, like no expense spared, and it really brings some life into the city. They really embrace it.
Yeah, it's sort of like the same party atmosphere in Abu Dhabi at the Yas Marina circuit. It just really gets the whole country going, and everyone there's having a good time.
Throw in a bit of rain, and you get a pretty interesting result.
Absolutely.
So. Top 10, Sergio Perez first, with Charles Leclerc second, Carlos Sainz third, Lando Norris fourth, Daniel Ricciardo fifth, Lance Stroll sixth, Max Verstappen seventh, Sebastian Vettel eighth, Lewis Hamilton ninth, and Pierre Gasly in 10th. So some talking points from all of that was definitely Sergio Perez's best drive by a fair margin.
Yeah, definitely up there. Pretty commanding, if you ask me.
It's probably the other thing I found really interesting was that it was actually probably another street circuit where he actually outdrove Max this year,
and that's been very, very common occurrence. I think most of the street circuits, Sergio's actually beaten Max on all of them, if not only lost to him on once. But Red Bull's certainly showcasing their speed on a street circuit. They have definitely won as a team. They've won every street circuit this year.
I've been doing some digging. So Red Bull from the mid-season break. Remember how we were talking about that massive leap in performance? Well, what they actually did was they actually released a lightweight version of their car, and so what it's done is it actually. And so remember how, say from mid-season, how Max's performances just leapt off the page, because you'd say that he and Sergio were pretty close.
Yeah, they were neck and neck to start the year and only separated in the points because of some bad luck. But since the summer break, it's been all Max.
Well, with the lightweight chassis, what it's done is it's actually allowing the mechanics the opportunity to actually place ballast over the front to reduce any understeer, but allow the rear to be really skittish. So that's what Max loves, just all front end. Whereas Sergio, on the other hand, quite struggles with that. But in low grip conditions, so like say Monaco, Singapore, low fuel in particular, it actually allows Perez to excel because the front tyres aren't being pushed into the asphalt. Or asphalt.
Asphalt?
I should say. Yep.
Asphalt?
Yeah, asphalt, right. Like they would be at a conventional track. And that makes sense because, he was ace at Baku, Monaco he won, and then obviously he's walked away trumps in Singapore as well.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And that settles the car down more to Perez's, makes it a bit more evenly balanced, makes it to his liking.
Yeah. Well, I'm critical of the FIA in terms of their inconsistency when it comes to rulings and race results.
Yep.
Not because of anything else. I mean, the penalty that Perez got was academic. But how can you allow Perez, who dropped from all reports, dropped behind the safety car by greater than 10 lengths 3 times in that safety car stint? And how can it take nearly 4.5 hours to come to the conclusion that he got a 5-second penalty, and then because it's inconsistent with, say, the no penalty that Vettel got in Montreal when he did something similar as well. But, the inconsistency of the ruling, the delay in time, and then how quick and how transparent they were in making decisions in Japan didn't cast them in a good light.
Different race directors, different stewards, different everything. And, it starts at the grassroots level of motorsport as well, with the inconsistencies and grey areas in rule books and whatever else. So, look, it's good to see that it doesn't stop as far as Formula One. But, look, my thing is that, if they want to keep it consistent, then they need to have one race director and one set of stewards for the entire season, not chop and change them all around, because everyone's got their opinions and opinions differ. So at least if they're using the same people, the same 4 stewards and the same race director for the whole season, at least that those opinions aren't going to change left, right, up, down, dependent on who's sitting in the chair.
What are your thoughts on how they're handling wet weather starts at the moment?
At least they started the race from a grid start in Japan.
Yeah.
That was quite good. I'm struggling to remember Singapore, to be honest. I watched it very, very jet lagged after getting home from Thailand. Look, Japan, I loved that they started it under normal conditions and at least gave them a shot. These guys are Formula One drivers. They get paid to do this stuff. We shouldn't be babying them and running them around behind a safety car. They've grown up racing in worse conditions. They don't run a safety car out here in go-karts, and they learn to drive in those conditions. Sure, they throw up more spray and whatnot, but drive to the conditions and be around it.
Well, actually, how was Thailand?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I haven't spoken to you since then.
No, we haven't done a show since then, but it was good. Look, good time away with the family and good to recharge, but glad to be home at the same time.
Homesick?
No.
Then why are you glad to be home then?
Just like being in Australia. Yeah, Australia's a nice place, but
it's around me.
Debatable. I wanted to come home for race meetings.
Oh, it's a race with me.
Exactly.
Yeah. To refresh your drowsy memory, so basically, obviously, you had the torrential downpour, and when it rains in Singapore, it rains. But basically, they had full wets, and yet after the 90-minute delay, because the FIA had to mandate their 40-minute start procedure, they ended up racing in intermediates after they probably could have done away with some of the hoo-ha beforehand.
Yep.
And what it did was, obviously, given the humidity, the track didn't dry, and it's the longest race on the calendar by a fair stretch. So there was, and then you had the debacle that you had with Monaco earlier this year too. So there was obviously a chorus of people, again, talking about how that F1 haven't quite got the wet starts right yet.
Yeah, are we still talking about Singapore?
Yes.
Yeah, right. I thought Japan had the big delay, and
No. Well, both.
2 races in a row.
Yeah, 2 races in a row. Yeah, because it's a belt that comes through from the weather.
Yeah.
There
you go.
What was your thoughts on, before we go to a break, Max and Lewis?
Oh, I don't remember it.
Struggle Street.
In terms of just not...
Yeah.
Look, Max had problems, though, because didn't he have to start down the back or had a penalty or something? Or, no, he got sent out at the wrong time in qualifying, had the fuel issue. It's all coming back to me. So he started 8th. Look, it was always going to be hard. It is a street track, and like he said in the intro before the race, it's sometimes harder to pass in Singapore than it is to pass in Monaco. So that's saying something, and we saw that with the race. So and there's a few safety cars as well, which definitely didn't help with overtaking, because he couldn't leap anyone in the pits. So it was all sort of. There was a lot of race neutralisations, and Lewis is just back to struggling. Like he has with the car the whole season. We know that we've said it a few times that he's being outshone by George, and there's really not much he can do about it at the moment. It's really showing a few things.
I think Lewis probably tried too hard. Is probably the best way I could see it. Purely because of the fact that the conditions, there was no DRS. Probably had a good shot in terms of, because they looked reasonable, but it was just mistakes. And lucky to get away with it when he landed in the tyre barrier just near Old Parliament House there. So what it did do was it set up for potentially a title to be won in Japan, and when we come back after our break, we will review the Japanese Grand Prix.
Buonasera Restaurant, a family-operated business that has been welcoming customers for over 50 years. Spoil yourself to the finest Italian cuisine with impeccable service from Larry and the team. Complement your meal with a magnificent wine from their impressive selection. Famous for their boglietti, their handmade pasta with crab and prawns, their tripe, ossobuco, and local calamari. And then there's their specialty, the veal cooked to your liking. Buonasera Restaurant, 295 Glen Osmond Road, Glenunga. Call 8379 5647 to book.
Yo! Ciao, Armando Paradiso from Unique Stone, delivering quality stone tops to South Australia for over 20 years. Granite, marble, Caesar stone, Unique Stone, granito, marmo, Caesar stone, Unique Stone. Thinking stone benchtops to your kitchen, bathroom or furniture? Unique Stone at Jacobson Crescent, Holden Hill. Call us now, 8266-2280. Unique Stone, we won't be beaten. Come on, che stai facendo? Yo! Chiama adesso.
Caffè Bocelli, non solo un ristorante, ma una vera istituzione. Una conduzione familiare che da quasi 20 anni offre il meglio della cucina italiana. Caffè di altissima qualità, una sala da pranzo interna spaziosa e confortevole, uno spazio esterno completamente riscaldato e un servizio accogliente e familiare. Aperti a colazione, pranzo e cena. Venite a gustare un delizioso pasto preparato con cura e passione. Caffè Bocelli, 8183 Hutt Street, Adelaide. Per prenotazioni chiamate l'8232 3006 oppure seguite Caffè Bocelli su Facebook e Instagram.
Hi, I'm Matt McQuinley. Join me each Monday evening from 6 to 7 p.m. for Change the World with Matt McQuinley on Radio Italia Uno. We focus on changing the world for the better by taking personal responsibility, destroying victim philosophy, canceling cancel culture, and by discussing as well as listening to each other on topics like leadership, cultural trends, beliefs, business, history, world events, and more. Change the World with Matt McQuinley on Radio Italia Uno, 87.6 FM.
Vuoi promuovere la tua attività? Vuoi aumentare il tuo volume di affari? Non sai a chi rivolgerti? Chiama Radio Italia 1. Il nostro staff commerciale è a disposizione per ogni informazione o preventivo personalizzato. Chiama all'82 12 3177. Radio Italia 1. E anche tu sarai un numero 1.
Radio Italia 1.
You're listening to Negative Camber with Jamie and Leigh on Radio Italia Uno 87.6 FM.
Welcome back to Negative Camber The Motorsport Show, proudly supporting Scuderia Ferrari Club Adelaide. Jamie and Leigh here, live from the Southern Go Kart Club here at Bolivar on the eve of the finals of the 4SS State Cup and state title black plate for two-strokes as well.
And the main event, 4SS Enduro.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's face it, that is what we're all here for.
Very true. They're in, 14, 15 kart grid now?
I think that's swelling.
It's going to be bigger.
I think there's been an infection and there is a spread.
And these two-strokers think they give four-stroke grief, and yet they all want in.
They all want into the fun. So I think, look, I know of at least 3 extra teams, so we're definitely going to be at 17.
Wow.
I have a feeling that we could touch on 20.
Wow, 20 go-karts going through that first corner at the end of the day.
You want to make sure you've got a good driver in for the first stint.
Yeah, well, that's probably me drawing the short straw with Simon so you can finish the event, but without giving too much away.
And random grid as well, so it's going to be an interesting evening.
How funny would it be if I got pole?
I would laugh.
I wouldn't.
If you were on pole and I was on P2, that would be amazing.
Oh, I know.
I would give you $100 to hold the field up.
Oh.
Just park it on the apex every time.
Last of the late breakers?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Sunday, October 9 at Suzuka Circuit in Japan was the Japanese Grand Prix, held in some pretty poor conditions, you might say. Here are some of the highlights.
So it could be a title decider. 53 laps to come. It's lights out and away we go. And Verstappen crawling away from the start, gets away, but not as well as Charles Leclerc on the inside. Esteban Ocon getting a bit squirrely, as is Sebastian Vettel. Into turn 1 we go. Verstappen is ahead of Charles Leclerc. Leclerc trying to fight this one, but as they now head towards the S's, it's Verstappen who's leading from Charles Leclerc. Sergio Perez ahead of Carlos Sainz, and then Esteban Ocon in 5th ahead of Lewis Hamilton. And the start, Verstappen wasn't as quickly away as Charles Leclerc, but by the time they hit the first corner, he was ahead. Is a Ferrari off? And it is Carlos Sainz into the barrier and out of the race. And a safety car before the end of lap 1. That is Alex Albon, and he too is out of this race. And we've just seen a replay of what happened to Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, I crashed.
You just saw at the bottom of your screen Sebastian Vettel off in the gravel. This is what happened to Sebastian Vettel. Saw him just edging towards the grass and getting a bit squirrely. He can barely see where he's meant to be braking, and he makes contact, doesn't he?
I got hit by Alonso. Really bad.
This is Alex Albon.
Oh no, he actually had a failure.
Yeah, he's stuck in second gear.
Oh, I took a thing. What the hell is that? Oh my god. Safety car. I don't know, I got something stuck. I can't see in front of me.
He could barely see a few feet in front of him.
Yeah. As Joe goes round.
The pirouetting Zhou Guanyu nearly collecting Alex Albon in the Williams before he got going once again. But we know that Alex Albon came to a stop very suddenly after that. This is into the hairpin. Yeah, you can see how the rain intensifying and just too much for the intermediates. The red flag the race. With the rain intensifying, race control have taken the decision to bring out the red flag. Race will resume at 4:15, ladies and gentlemen. In 10 minutes time, race will resume. Well, as Max Verstappen then reaches the final corner, we'll see if anyone does come in to the pit lane. but we're racing again here at Suzuka. The Japanese Grand Prix is go once more. Verstappen leads the way then down into turn 1. Charles Leclerc follows on in second place. You could barely see Charles Leclerc as Max made his way into turn 1. Then comes Perez, then comes Ocon, then comes Hamilton into the pits. Sebastian Vettel and Nicholas Latifi too have decided at the back of the field to take the gamble and go on to intermediate tyres.
Yeah, totally the right call. It's just you want to be the one that gets out of the pits first. And Sebastian, has he done it?
Just.
Is that a safe release?
Well, they're running alongside each other, and Latifi hasn't had to put his brakes on. And now, well, who can get the power down fastest? Sebastian Vettel is ahead of Nicholas Latifi. Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc, and this is where the crews can make a huge difference. George Russell's in, Perez, Ocon, Alonso, no, he stays out. Hamilton also into the pits. Decent stop there for Max Verstappen. They're double stacking there for Checo, as out comes Charles Leclerc and in comes Lewis Hamilton. And down the main straight, Max Verstappen on the intermediate tyres, getting past the Haas of Mick Schumacher as Alonso feeds back into the race in 8th place. There was plenty of room to run side by side. And talking of side by side, and now ahead, Charles Leclerc gets past the Haas of Mick Schumacher.
This is giving it's great for Lewis now. He can get a good run on Ocon. Ocon probably doesn't even know he's there at this moment in time because there's so much spray out there, but he's down the inside of Mick Schumacher.
Charles Leclerc now makes it 4.2 seconds, the gap between Verstappen and himself. Hamilton goes around the outside of the final turn and puts his Mercedes, up into the top 5. George Russell and Yuki Tsunoda going through the S's here. That was textbook. George Russell gets past Lando Norris up into the points. We're on board with Lewis Hamilton now. Towards 130R we go. Are we going to get a pass through 130R in the wet here at Suzuka? They almost touch Hamilton and Ocon as Ocon defends for all his might. Hamilton under braking. Can he find a gap? No. That was the moment. Just going into 130R and almost made contact. On the very last lap, could it possibly happen? You never know. Sergio Perez is giving it everything, trying to get past Charles Leclerc, goes down the inside. It's imperative for these two that contact is not made. Certainly for Charles Leclerc, who doesn't want to crash out of this race like his teammate did right there, because he would be out of the championship, and that would be the end of his title hopes this season. As it is, they don't touch, and Charles Leclerc stays ahead of Sergio Perez. Max Verstappen has taken the checkered flag to win the Japanese Grand Prix. It's a 12th win of the season. Meanwhile, Leclerc goes across the rumble strip. Perez tries to get him on the outside of the final corner. Leclerc comes home to take second place ahead of Sergio Perez. They might have a look at that in the steward's room after this race.
Yeah, so Leclerc's braked. He's just out-braked himself and gone straight.
Hey, what is he doing, mate? He went off and he pushed me off. He came really unsafe.
Charles Leclerc has been given a 5-second time penalty for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. It gives Verstappen a 113-point lead. Because the race resumed after a red flag, full points could be awarded. A 32nd career win then for Max Verstappen. Same as Fernando Alonso. A second world title for Max Verstappen. He is champion of the world in 2022.
And there you have it. We've got a new world champion in our midst, just
Not
like
new.
that.
Not new. Reigning.
Wow.
Back to back.
Yeah.
Amazing driver.
First official one.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. The other one was Michael Massey's. Heaps of talking points, though, to come out of that race. So I'll recap the top 10. So Max first, Sergio Perez second, Charles Leclerc third, Esteban Ocon fourth, Lewis Hamilton fifth, Sebastian Vettel in sixth, Fernando Alonso seventh, George Russell eighth, Nicholas Latifi in ninth, and Lando Norris in 10th position. Before we talk about the key talking points of the race, I suppose there was murmurings coming out of Singapore about budget cap and the controversy surrounding that, and it all came out at around Japan, and it was surrounding Red Bull and Aston Martin. So Toto Wolff went on the attack as expected, claiming that any team that had gone over the cap would have gained an advantage in 2021, but also for 2022 and 23 as it enhanced the adaptation to the regulatory shift. Now, essentially how it works is that Red Bull only got, Aston Martin was a procedural breach, whereas Red Bull, Williams actually got it too, but they got their act together in time. Whereas Red Bull had a procedural breach and a minor financial overspend of 5% of the cost cap, which ended up being something like, correct me if I'm wrong, somewhere in the vicinity of $5 to $7 million.
Yeah.
So, now they're waiting to find out what the penalties are going to be.
I think they've given them a fine.
Is that it?
Yeah, it's just a fine, no loss of championship points, no loss of the championship in general. Look, it's almost, when you're talking that much, it's almost an accounting error, that one.
Yeah, well, I mean, the left hand wasn't talking to the right hand because, Red Bull are in denial that they were even over the cap.
Well, they still seem to think that they did all of their numbers and got underneath the cap, and it's the FIA that have done the sums wrong. So, I don't know, maybe someone needs to just check their formulas on their Excel spreadsheet and make sure that it all adds up.
Am I correct in actually reading that Red Bull were trying to claim it on entertainment costs? Like,
I haven't read enough into it. Excuse my lack of study this week, but
you've been slaying at the track. That's why
I've been flat out. at the track. I've been home like no earlier than 10 o'clock every night this week, so it's been hard to get on top of things.
Yeah,
school holidays. I hate them. They are the bane of my existence.
Oh dear, I like them. The kids are home. We'll be off to a break, and then when we come back, we'll resume our recap of the Japanese Grand Prix, including hearing Leigh's view on the Lando Norris and Verstappen incident.
Buonasera Restaurant, a family-operated business that has been welcoming customers for over 50 years. Spoil yourself to the finest Italian cuisine with impeccable service from Larry and the team. Complement your meal with a magnificent wine from their impressive selection. Famous for their boglietti, their handmade pasta with crab and prawns, their tripe, ossobuco, and local calamari. And then there's their specialty, the veal cooked to your liking. Buonasera Restaurant, 295 Glen Osmond Road, Glenunga. Call 8379 5647 to book.
Yo! Ciao, Armando Paradiso from Unique Stone, delivering quality stone tops to South Australia for over 20 years. Granite, marble, Caesar stone, Unique Stone, granito, marmo, Caesar stone, Unique Stone. Thinking stone benchtops to your kitchen, bathroom or furniture? Unique Stone at Jacobson Crescent, Holden Hill. Call us now, 8266-2280. Unique Stone, we won't be beaten. Come on, che stai facendo? Yo! Chiama adesso.
Caffè Bocelli, non solo un ristorante, ma una vera istituzione. Una conduzione familiare che da quasi 20 anni offre il meglio della cucina italiana. Caffè di altissima qualità, una sala da pranzo interna spaziosa e confortevole, uno spazio esterno completamente riscaldato e un servizio accogliente e familiare. Aperti a colazione, pranzo e cena. Venite a gustare un delizioso pasto preparato con cura e passione. Caffè Bocelli, 8183 Hutt Street, Adelaide. Per prenotazioni chiamate l'8232 3006 oppure seguite Caffè Bocelli su Facebook e Instagram.
Hi, I'm Matt McQuinley. Join me each Monday evening from 6 to 7 p.m. for Change the World with Matt McQuinley on Radio Italia Uno. We focus on changing the world for the better by taking personal responsibility, destroying victim philosophy, canceling cancel culture, and by discussing as well as listening to each other on topics like leadership, cultural trends, beliefs, business, history, world events, and more. Change the World with Matt McQuinley on Radio Italia Uno, 87.6 FM.
Vuoi promuovere la tua attività? Vuoi aumentare il tuo volume di affari? Non sai a chi rivolgerti? Chiama Radio Italia 1. Il nostro staff commerciale è a disposizione per ogni informazione o preventivo personalizzato. Chiama all'82 12 3177. Radio Italia 1. E anche tu sarai un numero 1.
Radio Italia 1.
You're listening to Negative Camber with Jamie and Leigh on Radio Italia Uno 87.6 FM.
Welcome back to Negative Camber, the motorsport show, proudly supporting Scuderia Ferrari Club Adelaide. Hope you're enjoying the show so far. We are flying through this now with the last half an hour to go. Japan Grand Prix, we're back to Formula One. What was your take on the Verstappen and Lando Norris incident during qualifying?
Yeah, on an outlap, you know, they've all got that gentleman's agreement that you don't overtake someone in front of you on an outlap because everyone's got their own warm-up techniques. So I think in that circumstance, I think Lando should have been a little bit more patient and not gone for it. But again, it's all part and parcel with gamesmanship. Had Lando been on a flyer and Verstappen was doing what he was doing, then I think definitely the circumstances were different and it would have warranted a penalty. But yeah, you know, how can you, when things and the situation and the scenarios are changing so quickly, you can't be expected to see everything. And when Max lit up the tyres, Lando had committed to going full speed. So, yeah, like I said, outlap, Lando should have been a little bit more patient. If it was not an outlap and Lando was on a flyer and Max was on an outlap, then fair enough. There should have been some harsh words had.
I just think to myself, we are extremely fortunate that wasn't a serious accident.
Yeah,
it had
absolutely.
the potential to be.
It had the potential to be, absolutely, for both reasons. Max lit up the tyres and could have speared straight into Lando, and Lando was going at a good rate of knots.
Daniel Ricciardo admitted that he won't be on the grid in 2023, probably somewhat expected. I don't know. I can't see him getting. He's aiming to come back into the sport in 2024. I can't see how he can.
Oh, there's plenty of drivers that'll run out of contracts, and he'll find himself in a reserve role somewhere. I know he was going. There was talk of him going to Mercedes, but Latifi has ended up there. So yeah, we'll see where he ends up. But there's, you know, I wouldn't rule anything out, and there's still, you know, nothing's set in stone with everyone else that's signed their deals. Like, we've seen how fragile the contract situation and driver pairings can be. So yeah, who knows what will happen? Watch this space, and if he doesn't end up back on the grid in Formula One, it'll be interesting to see what he does turn his time to.
Isn't it ironic how the man that was firmly placed as largely responsible for the safety car for Abu Dhabi last year has now become the reserve driver for Mercedes-Benz?
Absolutely.
It's ironic. Fate. Ironic, yeah, unbelievable. Speaking of Mercedes drivers, or as part of their academy, Nick De Vries was confirmed as signing with AlphaTauri.
Long overdue for him to get a full-time drive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Biscuits in the previous episode that we had went through his resume or CV up to this point. Hugely impressive. Yeah. It's just a travesty that it's taken up to this point for him to actually get that.
I think the only person who I can think of that's matched him in terms of their karting and outside single-seater ability has been Max Verstappen. So they both come from the same ilk. Max was CRG and De Vries was Zanardi. So yeah, there's plenty of talent there, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. What that also meant was that Pierre Gasly was confirmed as the replacement for Fernando Alonso in Alpine.
Yeah.
For an all-French lineup.
French super team.
Yeah, which would be very interesting.
How much escargot do you reckon is going to be on the menu there?
I don't know, but I want to see how many likes by Pierre Gasly's will be on Instagram.
Yeah, well, there's going to be frogs' legs and snails at every race meeting.
Speaking of Gasly, you would have seen the Japanese tractor incident?
Yes.
And the impact that it had on him. What was your take on that?
It especially had such an impact on him because of everything that happened with Jules as well. But look, yeah, the tractor shouldn't be on the track until the race is completely neutralised behind the safety car. Whoever released the tractor and got that onto the track before
all of the cars were behind the safety car needs to have a good look at themselves, and especially in those conditions. Maybe a bit different if it was bone dry and visibility was at a premium, but it would have scared the living daylights out of me as well. But of course, we know that Gasly was hustling, so he could have been showing a little bit more care as well.
Yeah, it is right in what you say on Pierre's front, where it's he was going pretty hard in a red flag situation, and the tractor's there obviously, and it doesn't need to be there. But at the same token, you sort of stood back and you thought to yourself, they haven't learnt, have they? Like, they've done the safety features, they've got the halo and all that sort of stuff, but they still haven't learnt.
Yeah, well, it's each promoter. So the Japanese Grand Prix, the promoter of that, they run the Marshall side of things. So it was their call, their safety, their Marshall coordinator that would have sat in race control would have told whoever that it will be safe, and obviously it wasn't. So, look, just a bit of a mix-up.
Yeah, absolutely. Sebastian Vettel, dream weekend in Japan. Probably, I would say, his best race this year for the most part. He's had a couple of good drives, but it was good that he made Q3.
Yeah.
But then just drove the wheels off it, even though spinning at the first lap.
Yep, and still fought back, and he loves Japan. And always has good results there.
Yeah, it's a cracking track.
Absolutely. It provided some good racing, just add water.
Exactly. And speaking of water, it's great to see Nicholas Latifi. He actually is quite a dab hand in the wet. He's a pretty solid wet weather driver.
Yeah, he got lucky with a few people spinning out and getting some places through the timing of his pit stop for new intermediates. But, as you saw, there was a lot of people that gained a lot of time by pitting early and putting on fresh inters. They were 2.5 to 3 seconds a lap quicker, so they made up a lot of time that way. And then obviously, once the track sort of did start drying out, you saw it got quite hard to pass, especially with the Ocon and the Hamilton duel.
Absolutely. We'll go off to a different sport now, or obviously a different discipline, the Bathurst 1000, because that was obviously on the same weekend as it traditionally is. Makes it hard when you're watching the Japanese Grand Prix and the final stages of Bathurst on the same weekend.
I remember it used to be that they normally started the Japanese Grand Prix almost the minute that Bathurst finished, but obviously the time frames have changed.
Yeah, well, because of the fact that the cars are so much faster at Mount Panorama, they've been able to push the start date of the race later.
Yeah.
To have that twilight sort of finish, which then runs into overlaps Japan. Yeah. Winners: Shane Van Gisbergen, Garth Tander, Chaz Mostert, and Fabian Coulthard in second, and James Moffat and Cameron Waters in third place. 2 out of 3 ain't bad for me.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think I said that it would be hard to beat Van Gisbergen and Tander. I can't remember who else I said would be up there. I was too busy in sipping Mai Tais.
Yeah, Kashi was
on Stanaway and Murphy.
Yeah, Stanaway and Murphy, and Biscuits I think was I can't remember now, but I had to laugh because Kashi did call Alex Davison putting car number 17 in the fence.
Yep.
And sure enough, he did during the race. And fair to say, I got reminded of that.
Yeah, I saw the messages straight away. It was pretty funny.
And even Simon Enright actually sent a message to us and said, I can't believe you guys didn't factor in Mostert and Coulthard in your top 3. So... which we didn't. I listened to the replay after, and none of us actually picked them. I said they'd be there, but...
So you didn't ring me. You could have rung me earlier and got me in on the show. You waited for me to ring in the last 5 minutes. I always thought WAU always have good cars there. And even Percat's car was mighty fast until he stuffed it in the fence.
Yeah. Well, you're on holiday. Why would I ring you on holiday for? You rang me. You love me.
It's fun.
Yeah, exactly.
The last 5 minutes of that show was the best 5 minutes of that show.
Oh, please. Don't tell that to the ratings then. Now, did you know, I haven't done that in a while, Triple Eight as a team have actually now won Bathurst 8 times since 2003, and this year had 3 cars in the top 10.
Yeah.
You can, haters hate, and they're just a damn good team.
They are just a damn good team, yeah. Yeah, and like Craig said to us earlier, you put in you get out what you put in.
Yep.
They put in the time, all the drivers put in the time, all the mechanics put in the time. Roland and Jamie now, they run a tight ship. You get out what you put in. And I'm not saying that other people don't, but you definitely see the hard work and dedication pay off.
Yeah. What was your take on firstly the Richie Stanaway, Greg Murphy comeback?
Yeah, I loved that. Richie definitely opened some eyes to some people to his ability, which I know you guys touched on, and especially Kashi and Matt last episode touched on how good he is. But Richie definitely reminded some people.
Yeah, definitely made a statement, and he needs to come back. If he's keen on supercars, he's got to come back.
He just needs the right support. He's definitely keen on racing. It's just he doesn't want to do it under the wrong circumstances like he did last time.
Yeah. And finally, before we go to our final break, I can't go past the Zane Goddard incident and all the furor that happened after that.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah, look, I mean, that should have been a single car accident.
Yeah.
Everybody knows how much rain there had been in Bathurst in the week leading up to the event and at the event. And he went off track and he's a passenger from there. So in that circumstance, as a racing car driver, and like I said to some people at the Bathurst function that I was at, I'm not a paid professional racing car driver, but my mentality would have said, I can see that there's a car on my right-hand side. It's out of control in the grass. Maybe I should show some caution as well, because I don't know where that car's going to end up. But we look at all of the onboard footage, and even in the onboard footage, you can see the out-of-control car very, very clearly off to the right-hand side. But everyone's still 100% full throttle and plucking gears.
Yep.
So I understand, the rule is that if you go off track, you are to rejoin safely, but sometimes it's just not possible to do so because of circumstance. The grass off track was so wet, and you saw that every time anyone went off, no matter where it was on the track. So yeah, I think there's an onus of responsibility on every other driver as well to ensure that they are paying attention to their surroundings and racing to the conditions as well. So
I'm going to go as far as saying that some of the early stages of that race, and I sent a message, I think, to you or a couple of the guys over the course of that day, was probably some of the worst driving of an opening part of the Bathurst 1000 I'd seen in a long time, in the respect that it was 1,000 Ks. We're all racing drivers that get it, you put your visor down, away you go, right? But there was no thought process in any of that sort of stuff.
But it's become the race now. You're right, it is a 1,000-kilometre race, but it's a race that comes down to 2 seconds. You know, how much did Van Gisbergen and Tander win by? A second. Yeah. How much was the race won by last year? How much was the race won by the year before that? Not very much. So while, yes, you say it is, a race of 1,000 Ks, every second counts. If Van Gisbergen and Tander had lost 4 seconds on that opening lap, had they won the race still? So, yeah, it's not like the old days where you can make up 3 or 4 laps. It's just through pure speed. Everybody's so close now. Every little bit counts.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, still a great race. So it's probably one of the. It ended up being probably one of the best Bathursts, I'd say, over the last 5 years.
I think they still need to get that some of the aero wash off the cars, because we were robbed of probably what could have been an even better finish just because they can't follow.
Well, hopefully Gen 3 fixes that. Now that the new Mustang itself has come out, it's a smart looking car. Fingers crossed that all that hard work that they've done by delaying it for a year does bear fruit.
Pays off.
Exactly. We'll be off to a break, and when we come back, MotoGP.
Looking for a new coffee machine for your home or workplace? Look no further than Fine Choice Coffee Solutions, your experts in all things coffee. Why not come in for a chat and a special coffee tasting? You'll find us at 264 Gilbert Street in the city. Mention Radio Italia Uno and you will receive a free 250-gram bag of freshly roasted coffee beans. You can also shop online at www.fccoffee.com.au, where you'll find our large range of premium roasted coffee beans, coffee machines, accessories, hot chocolates, teas, and lots more. I'm Danielle from Fine Choice Coffee Solutions, your one-stop shop for all things caffeine.
Quando sei a tavola, hai mai pensato alla freschezza della tua insalata e alla sua bontà? High Fresh è una ditta del Sud Australia, a condizione familiare, orgogliosa di fornire prodotti freschi locali. Prova i nostri prodotti dalla lattuga all'insalata mista, dalla verza a stir fry. Le puoi trovare in tutti i Romeo Foodland o IGI e dal tuo fruttivendolo di fiducia. La prossima volta che fai la spesa, scegli la freschezza, scegli High Fresh.
O'Brien Electrical Adelaide, your local electrical electrician. Service and responsiveness for locally owned and operated businesses, their priority. 263 Sturt Street in the city, right alongside of Radio Italia Uno. Give them a call and speak with their friendly staff. Their number 1300 051 482.
Hello, I'm Peter Salerno. Please join me on Happy Business Radio every Monday, 2 to 3 p.m. on Radio Italia Uno. We have lots of fun with very interesting guests. We talk about how to start, build and increase your business. Happy Business Radio on Radio Italia Uno, 87.6 FM.
Ti piace la musica? Hai voglia di metterti in gioco? Entusiasmo e personalità non ti mancano? Radio Italia 1 sta cercando te. Chiama l'82123177 e anche tu avrai la possibilità di entrare a far parte del nostro team. Radio Italia 1, diamo voce alla tua voce.
Radio Italia 1.
You're listening to Negative Camber with Jamie and Leigh on Radio Italia Uno, 87.6 FM.
Welcome back to Negative Camber The Motorsport Show, proudly supporting Scuderia Ferrari Club Adelaide. From the club rooms of the Southern Go Kart Club, it's Jamie and Leigh here. Our last segment of the show, we are going to be talking about MotoGP and the MotoGP? The Thai. I should get that right, maybe I am tired. The Thai MotoGP at the Chang International Circuit was held, and here are the top 5 highlights.
The destination of speed, whose destination is the top step of the podium here in Mura. We're underway in MotoGP. Marco Bezzecchi got a great launch away from pole position. Jorge Martin likewise from the front row. Bagnaia in third place. Oh, how close was that? Almost contact between Bezzecchi and Martin in the first corner. They run well wide. Pecco Bagnaia in second place.
Quartararo delayed at turn 1. He was ran onto the paint by Jack Miller, teammate to Bagnaia. Look at Miller, who's made a stunning start from the third row of the grid. He's up to third now ahead of Martin, and Marc Marquez is next up.
There is Aleix Espargaro, the Spanish rider. He is
11. He's battling with Raul Fernandez. Here's contact with Aleix Espargaro, who's trying to barge his way past Brad Binder. Binder run way out wide at turn 3. So Aleix Espargaro, that's moved him up into 11th place.
Long lap penalty for Aleix Espargaro. That's, of course, from the early contact with Brad Binder.
Aleix Espargaro comes in for his long lap penalty. It's a long lap here as he goes around the outside of turns 5 and 6. Where will he feed back in as he tries to put his knee down there and feed back in? He is going to be right near his teammate Maverick Vinales and just alongside Alex Rins. So Aleix Espargaro will rejoin in 14th position.
Aleix Espargaro attacks on the inside of Brad Binder into the first corner. This time round it was all clean, wasn't it? Unlike the early first lap move down into turn 2, which cost Aleix Espargaro a trip through the long lap penalty. Aleix Espargaro is 11th.
Quartararo down 5 places. He's in 9th position now as they came through the first sector. He's dropped a couple already. Look at that. He's side by side with Alex Marquez. Quartararo, he nearly lost it on the paint. He's way back.
On the curve, Alex Marquez rode around the outside of Fabio Quartararo going through turn 4. That clearly disturbed the Frenchman. And then Quartararo lost the rear big time on that slippery paintwork, didn't he? Fabio Quartararo's had an absolute disastrous first lap here. Quartararo started 4th. He came through sector 2, 17th. Alex Marquez had to run wide because he nearly tagged the back of Alex Marquez going into that turn 4 on the entry. Around the outside he went well wide, and clearly looked like it disturbed Fabio Quartararo. And on the paintwork there, he almost lost rear, didn't he, Fabio Quartararo? It could have been much worse. Fabio Quartararo is just coming over the finish line. Can you believe that? Quartararo in a humbling 18th place right now. He's losing well over a second a lap in this Grand Prix. Fabio Quartararo, the reigning world champion,
limps home in a bitterly disappointing, a shocking 17th place for him. No points there for Fabio Quartararo. The second time in the last 3 Grand Prix he has failed to score points.
He's able to turn it tight and barge his way up the inside of Bezzecchi, who will now surely relinquish that fourth place to Pecco Bagnaia. He does slot in behind him, so Bagnaia back up into the podium positions. It's Miller, Oliveira, Bagnaia. Marquez now sends it up the inside. That's how little he cares about the World Championship battle. He sends it up the inside of Pecco Bagnaia. A late lunge, a little too late in the end as Bagnaia takes it back.
Pecco Bagnaia does take a super important 3rd place. Game on in this year's MotoGP World Championship. 3 races to go, 2 points now splitting Fabio Quartararo and Pecco Bagnaia.
Here comes Miller up the inside of Bagnaia, so certainly no team orders there at the Ducati factory team as Miller takes over 2nd place. He's now in the position to inherit the lead when Bezzecchi has to drop a place. Here he goes, Miller then through on Bezzecchi, who does slot in between the 2 factory Ducatis.
And look at this World Championship as it stands right now. Jack Miller will be just 35 points behind Fabio Quartararo going to his home Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time.
Surely not.
Jack Miller, all of a sudden out of nowhere, having won the last Grand Prix in Japan 7 days ago, if he was to win here today, then you have to bring him out in as a serious title contender. There's not back-to-back wins for the Aussie, but he's on the podium again here in Buriram, 2nd for Miller. Here comes Oliveira, his charge continues. He's just got great speed, great confidence, great feeling already in the early part of this wet Buriram Grand Prix. So Oliveira now picks off Jorge Martin, the KTM man, up into 4th place. Here comes Oliveira, Miguel Oliveira. This is no shock at all, is it? This was the kind of performance we expected from the Portuguese man after his brilliance in Mandalika. The Rain Master back on song here in Buriram. Oh, Oliveira, that was...
He's got so much more grip than Marco Bezzecchi.
Here comes Oliveira. He got great grip coming through turn number 11. This speed on the brakes in the 12 was all set up with a better edge grip through that turn number 11. The fast right-hander. Oliveira goes in hot at turn 12. Miller sweeps straight back on through. Again, closing up, hand over fist on Miller in that 4th sector is Miguel Oliveira. And this time he's going for it. This time he has hugged the inside line. There's nothing that Miller can do. Miller tried to leave his braking as late as he possibly could. They were side by side. It was a game of there on the brakes, wasn't it? It was won by Miguel Oliveira. Now then, what can Jack Miller do in retaliation? Miguel Oliveira then hits the front for the first time in this Grand Prix on lap number 15. Oliveira leads from Jack Miller, but it's another rain masterclass from Miguel Oliveira. He takes the victory here in that delayed Thai Grand Prix. Oliveira wins by nearly 3/4 of a second from Australian Jack Miller.
What a great race that ended up being. Very quickly, I'll go through the top 10. Miguel Oliveira 1st, Jack Miller 2nd, Pecco Bagnaia 3rd, Johan Zarco 4th, Marc Marquez 5th, Enea Bastianini in 6th, Maverick Vinales 7th, Alex Marquez in 8th, Jorge Martin in 9th, and Brad Binder in 10th. Quartararo's just had an absolute shocker.
Last few rounds have been absolute nightmare, but at least it set the scene for quite the end of the championship. You know, as we heard in the little take there, probably up to 5 or 6 riders are still with the chance, and it's bring on Jack. If he has a good round here in Phillip Island, there's no saying that he can't steal the show.
It's the Pecco show, mate. The Pecco show.
Yeah, but just imagine if he comes through and steals it from underneath Pecco's nose and leaves Ducati as world champion.
Oh, it'd be a bit of a stretch, but basically Fabio's post-race didn't join their team debrief, went to his private room in the paddock, and then no one saw him until Thursday in Australia. Turned off all his social media and everything. He just needed a reset. But from what you're saying with Quartararo, I've actually looked at the results so far since their mid-season break. 8th, 2nd, 5th, DNF, 8th, 17th, just 47 points. Whereas Pecco, on the other hand, win, 2nd, DNF, and 3rd, totaling 111. 91 points he's come back from to get to within 2. And if he does pull this off, it'll be the greatest comeback of any motorsport championship ever.
Yeah, or the greatest fumbling as well. Like we saw Pecco have so many DNFs, and even a DNF there in that last few results that you read out. So, look, it's not over by a long shot with a few rounds left to go. So, let's see what Phillip Island brings on, and hopefully it's going to end in a good result for your man, Bagnaia.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. But yeah, it's his only chink in his armour is when he's racing in the pack, and he's binned it a couple of times now under those circumstances. So the bike is clearly, and he's clearly good enough when the circumstances are right. It's you'd say based on form, it's his to lose at the moment. But yeah, Jack might spring a surprise. You never know.
Never know. It's not over till the fat lady sings.
Yeah, exactly right. Speaking of over, I think that's us done for tonight. It's flown.
I don't know how I got through it, to be honest. It has been the longest 2 hours of my existence, I think. I'm just in struggle street. I don't know how I'm going to get up and do it all again tomorrow.
Well, you got shares with Helmet because of how many Red Bulls did you down today?
Yeah, they've kept me alive. I'm going to crash so hard on the way or when I get home.
Yeah, as long as you don't crash on the track tomorrow, then you're fine.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. We hope you enjoyed the show, the special edition at the Southern Go Kart Club rooms. This is Jamie and Leigh from Negative Camber, and we'll see you all in a fortnight's time.
Italia 1 87.6